Okay, so here's a full swing analysis of Tiger Woods at the 2017 Hero World Challenge. Very interesting to see how he got on after a year of not playing. A lot of people talked about how he was using the ground better this week, and let's go into that and look at that in more detail. Okay, so if we go to the top of the backswing, we're going to see that he does make more of an effort to get behind the ball. As you'll see there, he's getting more behind the ball. But the thing that bothers me is this front leg here is still not quite internally rotating. It should be kind of pointing back this way, away from the ball. So you can see that it's internally rotated, but here you can see the leg is pointing out towards the ball. So he's trying to hold it in external rotation. So he hasn't got a massive hip turn in the backswing. And we're not going to see as much weight on his back leg as I would like. So in the downswing, we're going to see he's going to get too far forward on this front leg, and it's going to result in a jump stall type hip rotation through impact. And there could be too much focus on this front leg being externally rotated. I see a lot of people trying to practice externally rotating their front leg to get more hip rotation, but it doesn't control pelvic tilt, and you can still be sliding from this position. So having a knee or leg driven swing, using the ground early, it just means that your weight is just going to get more on this front leg, and you're not going to be able to get as much hip rotation as someone like Justin Thomas, as we'll see later on in this video. So just make sure that the front leg should be externally rotated in the downswing, but it shouldn't be the key driving force for hip rotation, as they're two completely separate movements. And when the hips are really driving the rotation, the legs and the feet are actually just moving in correspondence to what the hips are doing. So when you try to use your legs and feet for rotation, generally you will get too much weight onto your front leg, and there will be some jumping or stalling involved, as this should not be the key driving force for hip rotation. So this was one of Tiger's good swings on the Thursday, and we're going to see why. When he starts the downswing, he does drive the front knee out forwards, which I'm not a massive fan of, but he holds dual external rotation of both legs really well, which is a great start. And he has anterior pelvic tilt, where the belt buckle looks like it's facing more down here at the ground. This is going to help push his tailbone back away from the ball, which helps maintain your spine angle. So the next phase of the downswing is really the determining factor of how Tiger hits the ball. It's called left pelvic tilt. This is where the front hip is lower than the back hip, as we can see here. Now, Tiger has struggled with this position for a number of years, as he simply had too much weight on his front leg in the backswing, which caused the front hip to drop. So then it would rise in the downswing, whereas we see a much different result here. And this is going to give him much more hip rotation, as we can see as we get closer to impact. In that short space here, we can see just how much the hips have rotated much earlier towards the target. And we're going to see as we get to impact, this front leg working back away from the target as it snaps and straightens right at impact here, just afterwards. So when he says he can't swing like the old Tiger, well, I mean, that looks fairly similar leg action there to before, so there's no reason why he can't rotate even more than he does now, really. He's using the same movements. The one thing I would be wary of if I was Tiger is having such a neutral grip through impact. It does look pretty stable, but I would prefer to see more lead arm abduction away from the body. Just from there's obviously a lot of rolling of the arm here after impact. I mean, it doesn't really matter too much because the ball's gone, but just something to be wary of. But the swing overall looks pretty good here. Now we're going to go to a swing that was not so good. If we look at the 18th hole on the first round where he kind of blocks it out to the right, we're going to see a very different result in the second phase in the downswing. We're going to see here the front hip is moving up much higher than the back hip. So he's in the wrong pelvic tilt here, and this is going to stop his rotation, and he's also going to lose his spine angle from this position. As he moves into impact, the front leg and hip have stopped rotating completely, and there's much more of a jump into external rotation much later after the ball, as his hips have stalled from being in the wrong pelvic tilt. And then he tries to use his upper body to save the shot, leaking out to the right by losing the tilt in his shoulders much quicker. If we look at Justin Thomas, who was playing with Tiger on the same day, I just want to show the similar movements that Justin Thomas is making. He gets more internal rotation on his front leg in the backswing, which I do prefer. And we'll see that as he starts his second phase of the downswing, he has left pelvic tilt again, and Justin Thomas has one of the best rotational swings, as we see here, and we can see just how much he straightens that front leg and moves it back away from the target in the downswing. We see there. So if we move on to one of Tiger's swings from behind, this was a 3-wood Tiger hit into one of the par 5s, and I'm pretty sure he hits the green, so it was a really good shot. We're going to see how when he starts the downswing, the hips, they talk about him using the ground, but really here he's just getting more anterior pelvic tilt where the buckle is facing down towards the ground, and he's getting better left pelvic tilt where we'll see this part of his belt buckle here is disappearing and moving down. And if we draw a line on his tailbone here, which is another really good sign, we're going to see it moving back away from the ball as part of his left pelvis or tailbone here is the other side of this line, so we can see no real excessive jumping up. Usually when he's in the wrong pelvic tilt, this angle of his hips will increase more like this, whereas they stay much more level. So we can see that he maintains his spine angle really well here. He keeps a right lateral bend here for much longer, where the shoulders are looking more tilted through the ball. So really good swing here by Tiger. Everyone who's a massive Tiger fan out there should feel pretty encouraged by the changes he's made, and hopefully we'll see him winning something really soon.